They're tears of joy to see him come in, and because Lance, I almost froze to death on the ice outside of Koyuk, and I spent somewhere between 12 and 14 hours stranded on the ice, and the worst blizzard I've ever seen. And I grew up in northern Minnesota. I know what a ground blizzard is all about. And when I was rescued by the search and rescue out of Koyuk, I couldn't move. My left arm was frozen to my body. All I could move was my right hand. And when they found me, I had a sleeping bag draped over me and my 11 dogs. I had them all loose, and I thought maybe they would run to the checkpoint for safety, but they wouldn't leave me. And they all huddled next to me, and I billowed my sleeping bag over the 11 dogs and myself. And when the snow machiners came up, I was so disoriented from the hypothermia that they tried to pull the sleeping bag away from me, and I thought it was the wind pulling it away, and I was yelling, "No, no," and then they pulled the sleeping bag away, and here I saw the most beautiful Eskimo face I've ever seen, and all I could do was lift my right arm up, and he helped me to stand up, and I fell down because my clothes were all frozen, and then he got me onto the snow machine, and I was crying, and I didn't want to leave my dogs. He took me into the clinic in Koyuk, and then they put me in a cocoon wrap to warm me up, and then I said I had to leave, and once my temperature was up to about 97, I left, and I got back to the checkpoint just in time for Lance to come in, and Lance had come upon my team out on the ice, and he ran over to my sled, and when Lance came into the checkpoint, he told me he had tears streaming down his face, and all the way in he thought that I was out on the ice dead somewhere. He said he stopped every time he saw a dark spot. He ran to the dark spot on the ice thinking it was me, and every time he found it was a dark piece of ice. But he hooked my team, and I can proudly say that Lance knew what a strong team I had. He hooked his leaders to the back of my sled, and he went to my dogs, and they wouldn't go, and he petted them all and told them, "Let's go find Dad." And he said that's what perked up my dogs. And he had Cutie Pie in lead, and Cutie Pie, my 11 dogs, led his 10 dogs, and tied together. And he came in, and the checkers said it was like a ghost team running in front of Lance's team. And as soon as Lance came in, the checkers told me he put his snow hook down, he ran up to them, and he asked him if I was there at the checkpoint. And he said I was, and he ran into the checkpoint right away, and tears streaming down his face, and gave me a hug, and said he was so glad that I was there, and told me that he got my team in. And then all the checkers were going to take care of my team, but I told them thank you very much. But I went out myself. I couldn't use my hands, but a young 16-year-old by the name of Ben, and I don't know his last name, but a young man in Koyuk helped me to open all my bags and to make my food, and I was able to feed my dogs myself, but I'd accepted outside assistance, so I was out of the race at that point. But without Lance Mackey getting my dogs in, I mean, he is an incredible friend and an incredible musher and an incredible person.